So yeah, we're going to be handing out lots more Bitcoin Cash. But before I get into that, who here owns any crypto? Has ever owned crypto by a show of hands? All right, so a decent amount of money. Who here's lost money in crypto? Okay. Anyone make money? All right, so it's a mixed crowd. So yeah, years ago when Scott wanted to start doing these charity golf tournaments, I was like, Scott, we're to start a business. We have a million things to do. I don't know where to find the energy. I said, well, if we make it about crypto, I'll do it. I'll do it. So that's kind of been a part of a theme to it. I got into crypto many years ago, been able to make some good money from it. I'm going to talk about other reasons why I got into it, but a lot of people are interested in the price action and a little bit of education on that. So, and I'm here to speak more specifically about Bitcoin Cash, which I'll talk about here in just a second. But this is one of the first things that really got me encouraged in crypto. This comes from a meme that says, you are living here in the Milky Way galaxy. Originally it said paying taxes to pedophiles, but I took that out and instead living in here. But yeah, there's a real issue I had with just the way, like, at least when you pay taxes, like they're asking you for the money, and if you don't pay them, you go to jail, but at least they're asking you for it. But the bigger issue I had was the government collects about $4 trillion in taxes and spends about $6 trillion. So I had a big issue with that, and the only way they could do that is because they have control of the money supply. So we pay a tax, but it's not really well understood. It's just the price of things goes up. I know a lot of business owners, labor's up, food costs is up, everything's up. But actually, in the price of crypto or certain cryptocurrencies, prices are going down, as they should. Our purchasing power should be increasing over time. So, and with the poor education system, people don't understand how inflation really works. They think just the business owners trying to get rich and increase their prices, but no, you're paying taxes, and the people that get that money first benefit from it. So that was one of my biggest reasons why I got into it. And just want to talk about last year, we brought in about $15,000 worth of Bitcoin Cash. It's gone up 3 times in the last year, so it went up to about $45,000. And that's really not because the price is going up, it's because the value of the dollar is going down. And this is a scarce asset, which dollars they print as many as they want, as much paper as they have, they can continue printing. But this is ruled by the rules of mathematics, and I'll talk about that a little more here in just a second. But this is a brief presentation of like what makes money money, and kind of everything is trying to be money in the world, but only certain things do it best. And it's kind of a presentation of like gold's been money for a long time. It's had a lot of good traits. It's been scarce, fungible, transferable, and had a lot of desirable traits to be money. Fiat currency is just paper money that's backed by nothing, which we operate on a fiat system today. And then it talks a bit more about Bitcoin Cash, which checks off a lot of good boxes of things that have been money for a long time. And there's a good book to read. If you guys look at the cookie boxes here, one of our sponsors was like one of the super earliest guys ever in crypto. He's just a nerd about economics, and it really comes from the Austrian School of Economics. If you guys want to nerd out about that, I don't want to go too much in detail on that, but it pretty much says money needs to be 5 things. It needs to be recognizable, scarce, fungible, meaning be able to be held privately, transferable, and I'm slipping the 5th one, but sorry. So anyways, more about the creation of Bitcoin was really to create a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So all it really is, it's a cash system. It's just like handing cash, but it created that ability to do on the internet. So just as we used to hold cash in our pocket, it's like sending cash on the internet. So for the first time in human history, any human could send any amount of money to anyone in the world for a fraction of a penny, and nobody could stop it. Just like you could with cash. And it was fungible too. No one knew if Doug had that $5 or he gave it to him or him. But now the government kind of wants to know where all the money is and track everyone and what they're doing. But this is a return more to a more traditional cash system. But before we get into the more of like the history of it, I want to talk about why the price is going up so much. By show of hands, has anyone ever heard of the Bitcoin halving? Bitcoin halving. So a couple people. So there's, in our system, we have inflation. The government prints money and does things with it. Also in Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, there is some inflation. So every 10 minutes, there is 3.125 Bitcoins that are created. And those people that receive those funds are the miners that verify the transaction. They don't know who we are. But every 4 years, they get a pay cut. And these people get lots of Bitcoins, and they sell them every day. So every 4 years, they get that pay cut. So the selling pressure goes down exponentially. And that's why the price goes up exponentially as well, because the supply and demand is just not there. It's a scarce, hard asset. Did I explain that relatively well? Any questions with that? If you have any questions, stop me with anything. But the supply goes down over time. With dollars, the supply goes up. So the price of these hard assets will go up over time. That's why you guys hear about Bitcoin. It's a household thing because a lot of people have gotten very wealthy from a new growing asset class.
Before you get to the history, could I announce
just a sec. I want to hop in. And I want to talk about in our first year, we had our first presenter. His name was Roger Veer. He wrote a book recently. Roger was the world's first investor into Bitcoin-related startups. He owns Bitcoin.com. He's been a good friend of mine. Has been very good to us over the years. And if you wonder what Bitcoin Cash is, I really recommend reading his book that recently came out. It's called Hijacking Bitcoin. Since it's been released, Roger's been arrested, and he's been sitting in a Spanish prison for the last month, pretty much calling out the CIA has gotten involved with Bitcoin. So shout out to Roger. This will be on my YouTube channel. But Roger's one of the big OGs and spread Bitcoin to more people than anyone in the world, and so more for economic freedom than anyone I can ever think of. But so please, if you want to learn more about the history of Bitcoin, pick up his book, and you'll understand why Bitcoin Cash exists. I'm not going to go deep in detail on that, but Maria wants to give a couple. Free Roger. He's not a U.S. citizen. He's not a U.S. citizen. Somehow they're trying to get him in jail for $50 million of tax fraud. So somehow figure that out. Maria, Canada, that were protesting their government like any democratic society would, and the government went in and shut down all of their bank accounts. So this is something that's very important with crypto, is that you can help self-custody of your funds. You can hold trillions of dollars worth of money by yourself without a custodian, without a counterparty. No one else can get involved, and your transactions cannot be censored, and nobody can stop it. It's your money. So removing counterparties gives you that financial economic freedom and autonomy that individuals may want, and things that happen here when people protest against their governments will not happen. So that's if anyone has ever was bothered by that or was like, holy cow, like I thought there was a democratic society, think again. And then just briefly touching again on a couple slides here, go through quick, but again, one of my biggest issues is the inflation tax. If you don't want to deal with losing purchasing power every year with your money, the government intends to inflate the money supply by about 3% every year. In recent years, we've seen 6%, 9%, 10%. You're just losing your purchasing power. You're losing your purchasing power. And that again, that's through an inflation tax that you can opt out. You don't have to play their games. The money doesn't come from the government. Money comes from the marketplace originally. And we don't leave like reviews on the dollar. Like every restaurant like has reviews on it. We should have reviews on currencies. There should be a competition of currencies, but there's been a monopolization. So we're just asking for free markets to compete in currency. And we just need to reignite some of that American spirit. We fought a revolution over a 2% fee tax. So we could do better. I want to go back to more of our history. It wasn't always this way. We actually founded the country based on the gold standard. Everyone familiar with the gold standard here? Everyone familiar with it? Until 1971, the United States backed the dollar by gold because they knew it was good money. And actually, after World War II, the United States became the reserve currency of the world. That meant every country held large amount of dollars on their balance sheet in reserves. So when they traded goods with other countries, those were done in dollars. And they felt comfortable doing it because it was backed by gold. But if you fast forward to the 1960s, the United States got very busy fighting proxy wars and funding missions to the moon. And people started to say, hey, I don't actually want the paper. Send me the gold. Send me the gold. And that's when President Nixon went on television and said, to defend the dollar, we are going to temporarily delink the dollar from gold. Well, it's been about 50 years, and we're still temporarily delinked from gold. You've seen a large amount of wealth gaps occurring. Now I think about 1% of the population holds about 90% of the economy's wealth. And that's because the people that get the printed money first benefit from it. So if you look at the cost of a house or anything versus income, you're getting poorer exponentially, and the haves and have-nots are growing exponentially. And actually, I always found this interesting too. This is, if you go back to 1964, the coins used to actually be made of silver. So a quarter was made of 90% silver. So if you look at minimum wage, for example, if you take those same 5 quarters for $1.25 minimum wage in 1964, melt them, it's $25 worth of silver. So that's actually what minimum wage was back then. But because they started to debase the metal, which I'll talk about more, which has been done historically, minimum wage is what, like 10, 12 bucks a day. So people are getting poorer due to the monetary system. And I'll give a good representation of this. This is nothing new. Governments have been stealing from the society for a long time. The Roman Empire used to take base metals like copper and zinc and put it into the gold. And if you ever hear an economist say, they'll say, hey, the government's debasing the currency, even though because there's pretty more money. They're going back to like the Roman Empire when they would put base metals into the gold. So this is nothing new. but now we have a better option where we do not need to rely on governments. Years ago, I decided to get out and be more vocal about it, and really because I wanted to learn more about it. Because I learned in college the best way to teach, or the best way to learn something was to actually teach it. So if you guys want to check me out on YouTube, it's just my name, Ryan Giffin. You can check me out over there. I make weekly content about what's new in the crypto market and kind of more things like we're talking about today. I've traveled a lot of the world right now to help different crypto adoption. So I spent a lot of time in the Caribbean helping get countries like St. Kitts and Nevis and St. Martin using crypto. In the islands, they have slow payments, high processing fees, so there's been a lot of adoptions taken care of over there. I just got back from Ljubljana in Slovenia. We held the Bitcoin Cash conference over there to help upgrade the chain and more technical things than that. But also locally here, I've onboarded about 70 local businesses that do accept Bitcoin Cash as payments. You can find them if you go to map.bitcoin.com. You can go ahead and find those places and use Bitcoin Cash as cash. You know, now that you talk about that, let me just sneak over here. If you want to learn more, and if you want to be given cryptocurrency, we're going to hold a little meetup at 4 o'clock at Ravish. I'll get everyone that comes set up a wallet, a little bit of crypto to get started, and understand what the difference between a wallet and an account. Does anyone know what the difference between a wallet and an account is? Does anyone know what's the difference between a wallet and an account? Yeah, an account is where someone else holds your money. A wallet is like what I have in my pocket here, where I hold my money by myself. So I can get you set up with actual wallets on your phone where you hold the funds yourself without a counterparty. So 4 o'clock at Ravish off Ocean, 210 East Ocean Avenue in Lantana. We'll have a little after party of this event, and anyone that wants crypto or learn any more, you can come and meet me over there. And we'll kind of wrap it off there. We're going to go ahead and announce the winners of the golf tournament, and I got to pay up a lot of Bitcoin Cash here pretty soon. So Sir David Douglas, come back here and announce the winners of the 2024 Bitcoin Cash Annual Charity Golf Tournament. Thank you guys so much for your support. Appreciate it.